So this Diddy, this whole Diddy thing is exhausting. This whole Diddy thing is sad. And it's like another victim comes out almost every day when we feel like, wow, that was a bombshell. That was earth-shattering. I feel like something else gets revealed again. And a lot of people have had the habit of kind of making jokes and trying to make this into a minor thing because of some of the details, which is the oil. People are making the baby oil jokes and things like that. And I don't really respect those baby oil jokes just because the underlying thing about this is there are real victims, real victims. And Gene Deal is someone who has been outspoken over the years. Apparently, he wrote a book about some of the things that he's experienced while working for Diddy. I don't know what the true length of time that he worked for Diddy was, but I feel like a lot of genuine people have a problem, when they're in toxic work environments because their spirit does not allow them to stay there and witness certain things for ongoing period of time. So I don't know. It strikes me as odd that Gene Deal worked for so long with Diddy and he didn't necessarily do anything to stop or report any of these things. He wrote a book, yes. When you listen to some of his interviews, he talks about, setting Diddy straight. He makes a lot of jokes about a lot of the sexual things. And then when it comes to women talking about abuse, he's empathetic. But when it comes to men talking about abuse, he makes jokes. So I think I don't know if he has also been outspoken recently and back in the day, or making a point to say that I've stopped working for him, because a lot of the people that have been testifying, allegedly they've been testifying so that they don't get in trouble. Like, they've been kind of required to testify so that they don't get in trouble. So I don't know if that's what Gene Deal's goal was, but I just find it disgusting that he has been laughing when some of the men come out and talk about their trauma, because it's not funny either way, whether it's a woman or a man. So I find this story very interesting. There was a video on Vlad TV years ago with Q talking about his experience. Now, most recently, he said that Danny came member Dawn, who was his girlfriend back at that time, that she gave him a quote unquote ecstasy pill that turned out not to be an ecstasy pill. He said he had ecstasy before, but this time it was different. He said the whatever it was completely knocked him out. And he said he later realized that it was a horse tranquilizer. What I think he should have did, though, I think he should have went to the hospital, because they could have verify what it actually was. They could have verified if it was actually a horse tranquilizer in his system, or what it was, or if it was actually ecstasy. Maybe he had an adverse reaction. But he came out, or he had been alluding to some sort of traumatic experience. He said that he possibly was going to be sacrificed by Diddy, is what he thought. And I don't know, I'm kind of reading in between the lines, because he has not yet said that he was victimized or what exactly happened to him. And I don't know, I find it unfortunate that a lot of people are making fun or poking holes into his story, trying to doubt him. I saw some of the comments talking about the fact that he was under a lot of financial pressure, because apparently at the time when he was on the show, his sister and his mother went and quit their job and wanted to be dependent on him to basically, take care of them. And that was so unfortunate for them to do, because for one, just because someone is on the show doesn't mean that they're going to for sure be successful. That's one. Secondly, we all want to take care of our parents. It's especially if you have good parents, you do want to give back to them in some way, shape, or form, whether it's your parents, you know, your legal guardian, whatever, or the people who were there for you. We all want to do that. I think his mother should have allowed him to make that gesture. Not just like, oh, I think they counted their eggs before they hatched. I think that's the saying. If he gestured that he wanted to do that for his mother and his sister, that's different. But this obligation, putting that on his back, I think that was very uncalled for. They wouldn't quit their job just because he was on a show. So a lot of people in the comments were alluding to the fact that his mom, he already had mental health issues, and the mental health issues that he experienced after he had this traumatic experience with Diddy, people are saying that it was not from the experience with Diddy. But now let's be clear, anyone can have a mental health issue, whether it be from stress, whether it be from a traumatic experience. That doesn't mean that Diddy didn't trigger him in some way. Someone drugging you and then you waking up and not knowing what happened to you, or maybe he did know what happened to him. I did not listen to the interview with him and Aubrey O'Day, but he did. The interview basically involved him talking about a bit of his experience, because it was like they were just debuting this interview because it's during the time of the trial, and his mother was there, and his mother talked about what she experienced. But I think it would have also been wise for his mother to talk about her contribution to that as well. The stress you put on your son to now take care of you before he even got the money. I think that's crazy. But anyway, um because also that kind of pressure could have led him into this situation too, feeling like, he has this pressure, he has to make it, and maybe almost make a person feel like, I'm gonna do things that I wouldn't normally do, or I'm going to participate in things with this millionaire. Diddy's already successful. He has my future in his hands, because I can't go back home because my sister and my mom don't have a job. So I have to do these things because I have to make it by any means necessary. And maybe that's the type of pressure that he was going through, that their life, their rent or mortgage, whatever was on, was on him. So he came out and he said that Dawn was the one that gave him the quote unquote ecstasy, allegedly. I do not wrong him for saying that, because the fact is, you did give that to him. Now, whether the relationship was real or not, maybe maybe he felt like, and maybe they both cared about each other, and maybe she did not have any intention, because Diddy had that habit, and we saw that with other victims, that he would use his victims that he's already groomed or molded, as he would say, and he would use them as like a vessel to basically capture or get other things done. It's things that he's done with his secretaries, it's things that he's done with his security. We saw that with, when he went over to Kid Cudi's house, he had other people there with him, other participants. So I don't necessarily think that Dawn knew what exactly Diddy had planned for Q, but I can see why Q would grow an anger towards her over time, because you let this man you let this man allow you to manipulate me. You told me that this pill came from him. So if something traumatic happened to him after he took that pill, of course I'm going to look at you, and look at you like if you were a part of this, or look at you like you planned this or something like that. So Dawn came out and said it wasn't true. Q said, I believe Q. Q said that I also see people not believe in him, when I don't see anything he would have to gain out of lying about this after all this time. We don't see Justin Bieber. Now, allegedly, something also happened with Justin Bieber, but he has not come out. I don't know if he's going to be a part of the trial, but we see just Justin's behavior. We've seen the things that happened to him. We've seen that eerie video of Diddy meeting up with Justin, patting him down. We've seen multiple suspicious videos of him asking him, why haven't I seen you? You haven't come back to the house, when he was just I think he was 15 years old, and he was saying he couldn't get a hold of Justin anymore. Right? So we've seen all those things, but Justin has not spoken out. Now, possibly people in the industry, people around Justin, maybe his loved ones, maybe he has been able to disclose what he had to go through with them, if anything, but it's not abnormal for people to come out later. It's not abnormal for victims to hold this thing in. Obviously, he didn't necessarily hold it in. It's his first time the public is hearing about it, but he relayed the information to his mother. It was very touching to see his group was aware about what he struggled with. I mean, all of them started to cry. This was on a Vlad interview. All of them started to cry. And I think that's the importance, people taking it seriously and not making these stupid baby oil jokes is so annoying, because Gene Deal talked about one of Puffy, P. Diddy, whatever his name is. He is really, really, really a true monster. Gene Deal talked about how Puffy would test people. So Little Rod alluded to like Puffy like horse playing with him. So it's supposed to be a game. It was supposed to be like a funny thing. But then Little Rod felt uncomfortable because P. Diddy was actually like strong arming him or something like that. I forget the exact story. But basically, he really wasn't playing with him, right? It was kind of like a manipulative tactic that what do you call them? What do you call them? Predators. That predators do. Um, and it's true. It's very true. I've had a personal experience like that. And from then on, my motto is I don't really I don't really, I don't really give the what's the word? I don't really give everyone the ability to laugh with them. I know it's something very small and minor, but when you realize that some people are predatory, you don't laugh with everyone, because sometimes people try to use that to gauge what they can get away with, what they can do to you. Okay, this person is laughing. Now the next step, they're going to try to say something off the wall. They're going to try to disrespect you or maybe take advantage. So Gene Deal alluded to that being a tactic that P. Diddy did. Why I can't talk. P. Diddy does. It's so many letters in his nickname. So I'm getting sleepy. So he's a predator, and it's disgusting. That's what I want to say about that. That is a tactic that predators do. They try to get you comfortable, and that's what Little Rod alluded to, and he's disgusting. I hope he gets life. So many people are coming out. I just don't like the fact that people are making jokes about, the oil and all these other things that are just minor and just, it's not even funny. These are people that were really traumatized. So I hope that Q continues to heal. I hope that Q continues to heal. People are doubting his story and saying that why is he coming out now? So I'm glad that he has had the courage to speak out. He also talked about, and it seemed like when I was watching one of the interviews, it seemed like he was the only one who was brave enough to even talk about this stuff. And he also talked about the fact that the reason why a lot of people are not strong enough to talk about it is because they don't know what the outcome of this case is going to be. And the fact that even though P. Diddy is in jail, there's other people around P. Diddy who, can make something happen to you. And that's, he didn't exactly say that, but I think that's what he was alluding to. The fact that even though Diddy was or is in jail, it doesn't mean something can't happen to you. So I'm glad that he's been making these interviews and speaking out, because if anything does happen to him, we know that, hey, there's been these little inklings and little um these little information that he has provided for us. Chopper Chopper also talked about the fact that when he had started doing interviews, I know he's been on Art of Dialogue a lot. Chopper talked about his negative experience with Diddy. It didn't necessarily have anything to do with being taken advantage of, but just feeling disrespected and being treated, in a demeaning manner, which we saw that, and we've been hearing that across the board, that that's how Diddy has been over the years. Chopper talked about the fact that something that he said triggered the boys, the sons, and they called him on Instagram, but they didn't call him from their profile. They called him from someone else's profile, and basically checking him about something that he said. So it's true what Q was saying, that, whether it be one of his sons that could orchestrate this. Ray J has been experiencing things as well, where the sons tried to confront him. Things have been happening at Ray J's house. So they really can't do anything to Ray J, because Ray J also has been outspoken. So it would be really stupid, for that to happen. But interestingly enough, what's his name? Kid Cudi, the whole ordeal with Kid Cudi, it almost seemed like Kid Cudi dreamed up the whole situation of his car getting blown up and Diddy was inside of his house. Now, thankfully, even though when Kid Cudi was testifying, it seemed like, oh my God, there's no evidence that Diddy did this, because he had cameras outside of his house, but eerily, the camera was like turned off and turned away at the time that he came. So that means Diddy had been planning what he did. He had been planning this. So coincidentally, the cameras were turned off, turned away. The car just blew up out of nowhere. They swiped the fingerprints. The fingerprints came back to a female. But guess what? Guess what? Capricorn Clark was able to testify and basically attest to this actually happening. So really, even though, all the investigation didn't lead to anywhere, at least there is another witness, someone very close who worked for Diddy for so many years, that will be able to speak to that situation. So he's not going to get away with it. But I think it's interesting and unfortunate that he has been getting away with these things for so long. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I think it's unfortunate that so many people are making fun of the whole thing with Diddy, when it's not funny, because a lot of men, a lot of women, a lot of boys were traumatized and victimized during this, and I don't think it's funny at all. I don't think the baby oil jokes are funny. I don't think I don't like to listen to those people who are talking about, oh, they're trying to take a black man down. No, this is not a black thing. This is not a white thing. This is very unfortunate. He's a predator, and he's unstable. And a lot of the things that he did was so crazy. Someone else that worked at Echo years ago talked about the fact that he was assaulted. He was assaulted because Diddy forced him, basically, or allegedly, Diddy forced him to give him oral in a store or something like that. And I was listening to another video, and people were making light of it, and they were, laughing, and it was funny. And I have nothing against people who are in same-sex relationships, but if somebody is straight and they're forced to do something like that, that can definitely have a traumatic, that can be traumatizing. Or even if you are same sex or whatever you are, and you're just forced to do something that you don't want to do, that is traumatic. There's nothing funny about that. So I think, I hope that, these people see justice. I don't know how long this case is going to be. I think it is going to be a month. you know, maybe we are going to be seeing some more celebrities who we've been talking about over what has it been, like a year? Hopefully, I mean, the bombshell would be Justin Bieber. Definitely, if we saw Justin Bieber, that would be great. Hey guys, down in the comments, how are you? I'm about to get off for here. I'm getting sleepy. But I am just like, you know, I don't like people making fun of this whole situation just because of for the sake of the victims. Guys, please don't forget to like, don't forget to comment. I love to see your engagements. And don't forget to subscribe. Let me know what you think about Q's allegation against Dawn. And then Dawn said, and then Dawn said, oh, Dawn said, what is this? Dawn said that the reason why Q's allegation is not right, or it's a lie, is because after after the incident occurred, what is this? After the incident occurred, this dude, Q, still continued their relationship with her. He still introduced her to his family members and things like that as if everything was normal. And that would be an indication that what he's saying never happened. Now, that's funny because Dawn took the stand and Dawn had all these allegations about Diddy, but then the defense issue with what she said is the fact that, you know, after this incident occurred where you're saying that Diddy did all these things to you, you were free to go, or that, you know, whatever, the business relationship was over, but then you reached back out to Diddy in 2021 wanting to do business with him again. So this is after these allegations that you alleged against Diddy. So the same thing can be said about you, Dawn. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in.